Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Resilience Talk with Brad Neufeld. This is the show where you will discover that every challenge that you face in life is conquerable, especially when we work together. It's our mission here at Resilience Talk Network to increase resiliency in individuals, to strengthen families, and to better our communities. And this show here is a very special one. Sylvia and I, most of you know Sylvia. She's been on several of our podcasts as a co-host and as a guest. So Sylvia is very passionate about the one really big thing of bettering our communities and strengthening our families. And this is a topic that both of us are extremely passionate about. We're watching people die every day in our communities from this fentanyl crisis, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And we're also bringing on board with us our special guest here, Mr. Matt Duncan. And Matt is going to tell us a little bit about the movement here, the Lost Voices of Fentanyl. If you're sitting here looking at all of our pictures that we have up in the background and stuff, these are all people who have passed away from fentanyl poisoning, people that aren't remembered anywhere. You're not hearing any of this in the news. It's getting so frustrating that, right, Sylvia, I mean, there's all of this is happening, and yet very few people are talking about it. And the sad thing is we don't even have all the pictures up here. We have so many billboards that would have covered our whole back wall.
This looks like overkill. You know, I wanted to post all the posters up here, but each one is different. Each face is a different individual. These are parents, children, family, friends that have lost their lives to fentanyl poison. And right now, drug addiction deaths, over 70% of them are, we classify them as murder. It's intentional murder by fentanyl poison. And so this awareness is so hush-hush here in Utah, and it's very frustrating. I am like a mom figure to Matt. I've known Matt since he was a little boy with my sons growing up in junior high, and so far we have had 3 friends of Matt and my youngest son pass away from fentanyl poison. And so
Matt, tell us about this. Most people think this is just a drug addict issue. Tell us what you're seeing out there.
Exactly, yeah. So a lot of people do see it as a drug addict issue, but I would say that fentanyl users and fentanyl overdose victims fall into a couple different classifications. I won't say any names because I want to protect the privacy of the families of my friends who have died, but one of my friends who passed away, he never used any hard drugs. He bought fentanyl test strips by the hundreds and still succumbed to fentanyl. And then there are others who are very well aware that fentanyl it may be in the drugs that they're doing, but the addiction is so powerful that they just cannot stop, or the circumstances of their life are just so bad in their minds and they need to escape to the point where they resort to taking these drugs that they know might kill them. So I think one of the biggest things that needs to be focused on is getting these people help. I think that people who are caught with a small personal use amounts of drugs, that should not be dealt with as a criminal issue, and help needs to be more readily available to people. People who are caught distributing fentanyl, that's a different story. They need to definitely be punished, but I think there needs to be more help available for sure for people who are struggling with addiction.
Absolutely. So the Lost Voices of Fentanyl, this is perhaps the first time that many of our audience members here, Matt, are hearing of the Lost Voices of Fentanyl. How long have they been around, and how did it get started?
Well, Sylvia, you probably would know more about it than me because you introduced me to the group when my friend passed away recently, and then I got involved and just saw this overwhelming, unbelievable amount of people who have died. But you should probably answer about how long it's been.
This group, Lost Voices of Fentanyl, on Facebook started about 2 years ago when the mother of a son who passed away of fentanyl poison, and she became. This is how she is dealing with the grief. There are several groups. There's also another group called Appalled, and it's Association of People Against Lethal Drugs. And I co-hosted with Al on his
The Other Side of
on the
Addiction
other side,
podcast, which you can see right here on the Resilience Talk Network.
And he had a guest, Ed Bish, and Ed Bish is one of my heroes. He went up against Big Pharma when that's another story too. When his son died, he had taken one pill at a party. He had taken his Xanax earlier and then taken OxyContin, and it killed his son. And this was over 20 years ago when Big Pharma was making drugs that were very addictive with opiates. And so when he was a guest on The Other Side of Addiction, I reached out to him and I said, I need to be a voice to bring this awareness. I have 6 children and 3 of them struggle with drugs, and it has my life in the last 10 years has been pure hell, wondering if one of my sons is going to survive the day, survive the night. And so this isn't something I wish on anyone, but this awareness needs to be out there about not just illicit drugs, but about fentanyl poison. This is something that the drug cartels in Mexico, in conjunction with an Asian country, which we won't say, but they are deliberately making this poison to destroy lives in the United States. These super labs in Mexico are making fentanyl poison. They are making it deliberately. They hire biochemical engineers
right,
to make these in these super labs, and 100% of this poison is coming across to the United States. It's not going to Mexicans, it's not going to Canada, it's not going to Europe or anywhere else. It is coming right here to the United States. We are targeted by China and Mexico in this biochemical war, and it is destroying so many lives. Right now, this is the #1 cause of death in our country.
Number one, everybody.
Number one cause of death. And when you bring that up, when I make a post on Facebook or something, the #1 cause of death, every single time I will get more than once one person asking, what is that?
Yeah.
And so a friend of mine, I work with Thurl Bailey, and we were going to have a rally. We had a rally in the summer. But when we were discussing the problems with drug addiction and rehab, he said the problem that he found in the Utah community was that nobody wants to talk about it. And the awareness of what is really out there now, there's too much ignorance. You know, I'm LDS. I grew up in this nice, what we think is a safe Mormon community, and I guarantee you that it doesn't have it's not playing favorites. It doesn't matter if you're Mormon, if you're Catholic, if you're atheist. This is the #1 cause of death, and we have to talk about it. It's I don't know. My mind is just everywhere.
Yeah. So Matt, what are you? Again, what are you seeing with what you're doing for the cause here? What are you seeing out there? Because I hear all kinds of things, and I think this is why a lot of the parents are turning a blind eye to it, or maybe I call it the ostrich syndrome. They're sticking their head in the sand, hoping their enemy will pass them by, and none of this is ever going to happen.
Well, before you say something,
yeah.
The Lost Voices of Fentanyl.
I
lost track of that. This group was started, and when I first joined, was made aware of it from Ed, there were just over 1,000 members. And when I researched when it started about 2 years ago. It started out, it was 900 people, and since February when I joined, it is now, the members are over 21,000, and every day we're now members of this group, and every day we get a welcome to this group. And it's heartbreaking because it's not a fun group where you have your heart emojis and, ooh, welcome.
Yeah.
I feel like crying every time I see these names added to this group, because these are family members who have survived this nightmare of a loved one being killed by this fentanyl. And so this group is unfortunately continuing to grow by the thousands. And
Yeah, because the last thing we want to do is cause panic at the same time.
Why not?
What are some of the ways that they're, well, because this is the thing that I hope we can clear up here too, because some people say, well, they could put it in our water supply and we could all die. Is that true?
yes, it is.
Okay. See, this is the stuff I want to get out there. And so, Matt, what are some other ways that these con artists or these, I'm just going to call it what it is, evil people are doing? I know they're lacing cigarettes with it.
Yeah. So the DEA and a lot of other law enforcement agencies are turning up pounds and pounds of powder fentanyl, which is enough to kill millions of people in a lot of instances. And also the pills of fentanyl are a big problem. And one thing we're seeing recently is these rainbow-colored pills. And it's gotten to the point where parents are concerned about letting their kids even go trick-or-treating because they're worried that their kids are going to get some of this rainbow fentanyl. And so that is something that's really awful. But yeah, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but morphine is a powerful opiate. It's used to treat medical patients and things like that. I believe fentanyl is 100 times more powerful than morphine. And then there's also something called carfentanil that is it's used as an elephant tranquilizer, and it's 100 times more powerful than fentanyl. And that is actually also killing people, which is really just unbelievable if you think about it. And like you said, they are putting it into all sorts of drugs now. It's not just hard drugs that you have to worry about anymore. It is in pretty much any type of drug or cigarettes that you could think
Marijuana.
of. So, yeah.
Well, the thing is, that the cartels are deliberately now targeting children to make it look like candy. That's not adults. It's not people my age.
Not people doing drugs.
Yes,
drugs.
And it just is. It's terrifying, and it should be terrifying. We should be concerned about this. We need to talk about it. If there is something that is killing our citizens by the thousands every year, why are we still ignorant of this? Why is there nothing being done? And right now we're getting ready for the midterm elections, and I have noticed here in Utah that everybody's more concerned about smut in books than they are about what will actually kill their children. And I'm very politically involved, and when I talk to candidates, I'm like, so what are you going to do about the number one cause of death? And this is what kind of ticks me off, is they're the ones that are asking me, what is it? I'm like, you're running for office and you don't know what's killing your citizens.
Yeah. So that must be frustrating, obviously.
Tinch.
Well, so when you say nothing's being done about it, what can we do? Let's start. Let this be the launching point. Now, Lost Voices of Fentanyl, and we want you to know this. This is not there is another group who started this, and we want to give them all the credit in the world.
Yes.
And our hope is to have them on here, on our show here one of these days soon. And so when but these people have have started putting this out there. What are some of the things we can do? Matt,
the founder,
Sylvia, what can
the
we
founder
do?
is April Babcock.
April Babcock.
And
so look them up. As soon as you hear this, look it up.
And bless her heart, she started a huge demonstration rally in Washington, D.C., and I have seen this woman with her helpers spend sleepless nights, countless hours of hard work organizing this demonstration in Washington, D.C. to get to, to say, here we are. This is killing our country. And unfortunately, the occupier of the White House was gone to a funeral of a country, Meanwhile, the citizens are dying here, and he felt it was more important to go to a funeral. So,
what are your thoughts, Matt? What more can parents do when we say get involved? Who can they call? Where can they go?
Well, I don't know if it starts with parents as much as it starts with the police, to be honest, because I've had these 3 friends pass away in the last year, and every time it happens, the police do not make any effort to investigate in any manner. They do not seize the phone of the victim. They don't try to go through it. They don't try to determine who distributed the substance to the victim. And even if you make a police report, which has been made in one of these cases of someone that I knew, they still don't do anything about it. And some states are better about it than others. In the Lost Voices of Fentanyl group, I am seeing that in other states, convictions, Ohio seems pretty good.
Yes.
But yeah, here in Utah, I would say that when something like this happens, and it's happening frequently, the investigation needs to be much more thorough into it. And I think that's the most important thing.
And what's sad is we are not hearing about it in the news. We're not hearing about it. I'm friends with a reporter who did come and interview me at home, and it's very hard for him to get this word out when nobody's pouncing on it. Why wouldn't you want this in the news? That's killing us. I don't understand. It's just, but see, that's the stigma. It's just another drug addict.
Exactly. Yeah, I believe that when you made that event at the Capitol, one of the speakers there used that acronym, just another drug addict. And that's how the police treat it. His
wife. That's Jim.
Yeah. It's just not, it doesn't seem to be significant to the police because it's a drug addict. But it is significant because every single one of these people are irreplaceable people that mattered and have souls. And
well, a lot of them too, it was a first time. And there's no accountability on social media and these apps. TikTok and Snapchat is the biggest culprit. There's no accountability for them selling illicit drugs, and children have access to them. I started a new account on Instagram. It took me 15 seconds to start a new one, and I'm not the best on computers. And all by myself, I started this Instagram account, and immediately I started getting friend follow requests by the people that I follow, celebrities or something. And people will make up names of these celebrities and add numbers. And then once they get you on there, and children have access to these, and I am more worried about their access to social media and these online apps than anything. I don't care what smut is in a book. When these children have access to social media like this to buy drugs, why aren't we worried? And the problem is, in this day and age, everybody's got ADD or they're anxious, and so these teenagers are being prescribed Xanax.
Are you talking about me again?
Yes.
Okay.
Teenager.
Yep.
But my granddaughters are in junior high, and they came to me and they said, Grandma, our friends are getting Xanax. And I said, why in the hell is a doctor giving a teenager in junior high Xanax? So they are put on Xanax, and that was the problem, our friend had, is he was on Xanax. He was suffering from depression. And then when they cut you off, they go online and think they're buying a Xanax, and it's not. It's fentanyl poison, and it's killing them. And where we have opiates prescribed, there is the illicit drug of heroin. The problem with people talking about fentanyl is they think it's the prescription medicine that's prescribed, and it's not. There isn't an illicit name for fentanyl. They use it for fentanyl and fentanyl. Mm-hmm. So, there's Percocet and there's heroin, but fentanyl, I just call it illicit fentanyl or fentanyl poison because there is no name to distinguish it. But that is what is killing these children. So they go into school or they start a new job. They have a very difficult assignment. They are stressed. They want to sleep. Their Xanax prescription has run out. So in desperation, they go online and think they're buying a couple of Xanax, and their parents find them the next day dead. And that's how a lot of these faces have died.
Yeah. My goodness. Well, there's definitely a lot to discuss here, and we're going to continue on with our I've got some ideas, but I want to. We're coming up on a break here, and I want to be sure we have enough time to discuss what I'm thinking right now. So let's go ahead and take a break. What do you say?
I say
All right, we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk more to our guest, Matt Duncan, as well as Sylvia and myself. We're going to talk a little bit more about this fentanyl poisoning. It's real, folks. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how directly. It's like nobody gets involved until somebody in their family or somebody that's a friend of theirs passes away, and it's becoming more and more every day. This is something that, again, we're bringing to people's attention. I felt it was very necessary here for Resilience Talk to get involved in this as well, just because, again, it's part of our mission to better our communities, and this is something we need to all work together on to get out of our lives here once and for all. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Welcome to the Resilience Talk Network. My name is Jay Walter, and I'm the host of Rebuilding. Heard every weekday night from 6 to 7 p.m. You can listen in and learn how to face your fears, overcome obstacles, and make dreams a reality. So listen every weekday night from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on the Resilience Talk Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Resilience Talk with Brad Neufeld, also with my co-host, Sylvia. I'm going to put some applause in there. All right, our special guest today is Matt Duncan. We're talking about fentanyl poisoning, and we're also making people aware of the organization Lost Voices of Fentanyl. They are a 501c3, so we're going to talk about ways you can get involved in this push here. But for a tax-deductible donation, you can donate to their cause here. And we're just making, again, we want to start this awareness project here. But Matt...
Paul is also a
okay. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so we're, again, it's all about awareness, correct? So anyway, Matt, we know that you have friends, or you've made us aware that you've had friends who've actually passed away from this. Can you tell us a little bit more about maybe your relationship with them, and what was this like for you watching this happen?
It's just been unbelievable. It's been a real shocker. A year ago at this time, I would have never imagined that I would be losing all these people, and very, very special people. And one of them, as I mentioned, was very careful and made every effort not to succumb to fentanyl poisoning, but it happened anyway. And one of the friends that I lost was my very best friend in the whole world. I considered him my brother, and it's still affecting me greatly to this day. And I think that it's very important to try to, as I said, make help available for people by reallocating tax dollars, perhaps, and also making personal donations, if this is a cause that you care about, to organizations like Lost Voices of Fentanyl, who are able to make advances with getting people help and that sort of thing. But it's been very difficult, to say the least, losing my friends.
Yeah. So what... So this is real. This is in our communities right now. This is all over the place. There's people right now scheming on ways that they can harm or kill our children, our friends, our family. What can parents do? Because that's one thing I would like to accomplish in this show today is helping. What can they do? Okay, so I know you mentioned some medications, Narcan, and what are some other things? What are they?
It's also known as naloxone.
Naloxone? Okay, I've seen that on billboards.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen that on billboards. So what are those? What do they do? What do those...
So as soon as it's administered, it counteracts the effects that the opiate is having on your opioid receptors, and essentially undoes the overdose. If somebody is an addict and they overdose, like when they're really addicted to it and they overdose and somebody administers Narcan, that person's going to immediately go into withdrawal because their brain loses all of that opiate that it had just received. But that's what makes it possible for the brain to start receiving signals to start breathing again. Because that's what fentanyl does, is it makes it so you don't remember to breathe, basically. You go unconscious and your brain doesn't remember to breathe. So that's the biggest sign to look for in a fentanyl overdose, is if someone is breathing shallow or worse, not breathing at all, and they fall unconscious, that is a pretty surefire sign that something like this could be going on. And so
it's a rapid onset.
It is.
It can happen right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, it can be 1 second you're standing, and then the next second you just fall out. So it can happen very quickly, and time is of the essence when administering the Narcan. And the Narcan, while it is a useful tool and it's necessary for everybody to have, it also is necessary to receive proper medical treatment after somebody has overdosed on fentanyl, because Narcan, sometimes if the overdose is bad enough, the Narcan will only last for like 15, 20 minutes until the medical professionals get there to help you. So that's the way that it can help.
Yes, it's not a lasting effect. It will wear off, and people need to be aware of that. It's the same with diabetes. When they have low blood glucose and they go unconscious, the paramedics will give them glucose in their IV, but it's not going to last. So it's important to make sure you eat and get those carbs in. So it's important with the drug, the opiates. You've got to get into the doctor, to the hospital, and make sure that they get the treatment to keep them alive. It's so scary. Fortunately, Narcan is available at no cost if you go to the health department. I've heard that public libraries are going to have it available for people. Please don't be afraid to ask for Narcan. It can save someone's life, and it's. I'm really grateful for it. It has saved the lives of my children.
And you never know when you might need it. Even if you don't use drugs and nobody you know uses drugs, you might come across somebody on the street who's in the midst of an overdose.
Right.
And you could save that person's life if you were carrying Narcan on you. So it's very valuable.
I was an EMT, and when in training we were taught, if you come upon somebody that's unconscious, give them glucose because it could be a diabetic, insulin reaction. Now, sadly, they're administering Narcan plus glucose if they don't know why a person is unconscious. Sad.
Well, I definitely want to throw that out there. None of us here are medical doctors, so we need to make people aware of that. That being said, all of this stuff can be found out about through your local health department, as
Right.
Matt and Sylvia are talking about right now. The main thing is get educated on it. Find out more about it, because this very thing could be the one thing that saves you or your loved one's life here. So.
Well, also too, when you're in a group of friends and this is something that you're doing is drugs, a lot of times if someone is overdosing, the friends will run away and leave them alone, and that's how they pass away, because they're left. And there's a lot of fear that they will be arrested if they're, with somebody
Around
on
it.
drugs. They're going to arrest me for drugs. And there's a Good Samaritan law that will protect you from that. Even if the police arrive on the scene, they can't take you in for using illicit drugs. But they can, if charges are pressed, they can come after you for not helping. You need to be aware that you can't just let someone die. That's wrong.
Yeah.
But there's these Good Samaritan laws are there to protect everyone from helping someone who is dying. So please, if you see someone, if you're with someone that is using drugs and they're dying, help them. Please don't leave them.
Yeah. And one other thing that I wanted to mention and maybe ask you about, I remember at your previous rally, there was somebody that spoke about that there's now a law that allows you to go after civilly drug dealers who have caused the death of your loved one. Can you talk anything about that?
Oh, hallelujah. I hope
That is, and that's Jim Conforti. He's going to be a guest this week, another guest, and I will for sure make him talk about that, because it's very frustrating for him right now. He's still grieving. His beautiful wife passed away last year, and it's so frustrating. He has the proof, he has the evidence. He knows who it was that gave her the drugs and sent it to her in the mail, and just nothing is done. So there are laws that he can go after, that he knows that you can go after these drug dealers. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. They do, and they have their agendas. So, oh my gosh. So anyway, I just want our audience to know today we're going to do everything we can to bring even more awareness to this, and we're going to get involved at the level. I know Matt brought up the fact of, police in many ways, their hands are tied, and I don't want to get into all of that. All of us are aware of that with the movements that are going on. Some people agree with it, most people don't, obviously, from the statistics we see. That being said, we got to figure out a way to get a full court press on this, because obviously laws need to be changed. If our law enforcement's hands are tied and they can't do anything about this, that's a big problem right there.
There's so many things right now. The accountability of allowing children online to buy, just to have access, and there's nothing being done. There really is nothing being done.
Jeez.
That accountability needs to be there. They think that they're free of the guilt.
Yeah.
But they are allowing people to sell to anyone. I don't know.
Man, what are we gonna do? So, Matt, with the loss of your friends here and things, what are some things that how do you know how it happened with them? Where they just got some random drugs or something? What?
Yeah, it happened in different ways for all of them, I think. And For at least one of them, it's a little. It's not entirely determined exactly what happened. One of them was using what they call the dirty 30s, where it is a blue fentanyl pill that mimics an actual Percocet 30 milligram pill.
And it's known on the streets as blue.
Right, known on the streets as blue. And one of them died from that. Another one died from it being laced in, I think it may have been a Xanax or possibly cocaine. And it can be in anything. So, but no matter the cause, it's equally devastating to lose somebody that's close to you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, final thoughts.
Just look at these faces and just think of the impact each one makes in this world. Each of us is important. I was reading something on Facebook, and I had always taught my children that one person can change the world. Think of people like Princess Diana or Mother Teresa. One person can change the world, and that person can be you. And how will you face God with that? Knowing that. What can you do to help the children and the citizens of this world have better lives when something like this is so unnecessary and so devastating, and nothing, it just feels like nothing is being done to bring this awareness. Mm-hmm. And people need to talk about that. It's not going to save you if you're a really good Christian or any religion. Religion's not going to save you from this. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the thing about being here in Utah. I know what it's like. I grew up Mormon, mm-hmm. and, we think we pay our tithing or we go to the temple and we're going to be safe. But we have to start talking about this. Why aren't we talking about this in church? I was listening to children praying last year for a certain disease that was going around, and nothing is being said about what is actually killing us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard one statistic that here in the United States, every 9 minutes somebody is dying from fentanyl. And if that doesn't tell you how significant of a problem this is, I don't know what will. And if you look at the statistics of how many people died in 2019 versus 2020 versus 2021, then now 2022, it is exponentially growing every year. And how much higher does that number need to get before people start to become aware of this and do something about it, is what I'm wondering. So,
yes.
Yeah, and what as we were talking during the break too, as we're getting ready to end our show here today, we were talking about ways that maybe we could encourage people who are listening to this right now to get involved. Now, again, there are organizations there's 501c3s that you can donate to and research those. Well, plus we'll bring you some here, but obviously today we're highlighting Lost Voices of Fentanyl. But Matt, you were talking a little bit about maybe encouraging to get more funding either through private or through government resources. What do you think of that?
I think that needs to be done, but really the other half of it is that don't be afraid to ask for help if you're struggling with drugs. There is a stigma about using drugs, and sometimes people are afraid to seek help, or they're fearful of being judged. But don't be afraid, because if you do get help and recover from the horrible disease of addiction, then it will be worth it someday.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, well, we want to thank everybody for listening to this today. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of this. Sylvia and I have been talking about this for some time. She talked about it on the Other Side of Addiction podcast, which you can find here, as I jokingly said in the first segment, on Resilience Talk Network here. That being said, we've been discussing this in private, and I want to join on board with this, as well as Sylvia's already knee deep in it. But we want to push this out there for sure, to make it aware and do whatever we can to make a difference, whether it be in the laws or, man, there's just so much to do. And I can see how this whole crisis has come to be, but then we start crossing the lines of politics and anyway, the only thing I'm going to say about it is we do everything we can to stay away from politics on this show. That being said, we've got to find what's common with all of us as human beings, as families, and say enough of the politics and do what we need to do to protect our families.
Yeah. And that just starts with the awareness itself. Just knowing that this is out there. And I would love it every time I would mention, what's the number one cause of death? And people would know. Because a year ago, everybody thought it was something else.
Yeah.
And why is this issue not given the same publicity? And
well, we're going to give it some publicity, doggone it.
We're going to try.
All right. Well, we want to thank our guest today, Matt Duncan, for coming in. Thank you, Matt.
It's been a pleasure being here.
Please come back and see us, because we're going to be, again, we're going to all be united in this and getting the word out. Don't wait. Do not wait for somebody to pass away who's in your family circle or in your friend circle before you decide to take charge on this. Because it's been said over and over again, you'll see this on news reports and everything, there is enough fentanyl brought into this country already to kill everyone in the United States.
Yes.
Again, this is no conspiracy, guys. This is no conspiracy. There's people out there that want to harm us, and if they can do it without weapons of mass destruction, if they can do it without other conventional weapons, they're willing to do it. So
they're doing it.
They're doing it. So it's time to wake up and see it for what it is. But anyway, we're going to take one last quick break, and when we come back, Sylvia and I will wrap up our show today. But this has been great. And again, thanks once again to Mr. Matt Duncan for being on here with us. So anyway, we're going to be right back.
Do you know someone who's gambling with death due to an addiction? Do you know someone whose life is being turned upside down due to a loved one that's battling with addiction? Hi, I'm Al Richards. I am the host of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. I started the podcast due to my wife's battle with alcohol. Let's just say I became addicted to her addiction. Our podcast is helping people understand a little more about those who have battled addiction and those who are hurting from their addiction. Through raw vulnerability, we share stories that help uncover the root causes of addiction. Shame felt on both sides, matter of the conscious and subconscious mind, continued beliefs, and often confusing paths of recovery. We collaborate with real people and their stories, as well as licensed professionals, to help our audience gain a better understanding of addiction. You can find us on Resilience Talk Network. You can also find us on Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. That's Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look up the Other Side of Addiction podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We're just concluding our show here today. Sylvia and I, as I said in the previous segment, we're just passionate about the subject matter that we brought to you today. This fentanyl poisoning is real. It's time for us to come together. Forget the politics, guys. Forget the right versus left and all that. If government's not going to solve this, we've got to figure out a way to do it as a community. And so this is just the start. We're not finished yet. We've got other guests coming in who have been affected by this fentanyl poisoning. One gentleman, his wife passed away. Then another one, his son passed away from this. And there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes, but we want to bring some of that awareness to you too, as well as give you ways that you can be informed to protect your family. So Sylvia, are you ready for this?
Yes.
We're going to do it. All right. So here we go. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure and hit, if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure and hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. That sure helps us out to get the word out on this. Also on Facebook. If so, please give us a like and also a comment. And let us know if you have any resources out there as well, because this is why I say at the beginning of our shows that this is a show where you will discover every challenge that you face in life is conquerable, especially when we work together. We have to work together. People need people. All right? We can't do all of this by ourselves. A lot of people try to do it by themselves, and they get met with much despair because they can't follow through on things. You need other people. And so, anyway, be sure and stay tuned in here and tell someone else, tell a friend about our shows here on Resilience Talk Network. And also, if you would like to be on here, if you have a message that you would like to share with the world, give us a call. You can email, or you can call me at 435-830-6945. Once again, 435-830-6945, or email at info@resiliencetalk.com, info@resiliencetalk.com. So look up our website, resiliencetalknetwork.com, and until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.